10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Fuel community. My name is Wack. Today is July 19th and we're going to start today's episode with this information that we got from Master from CowSwap. He says, hey, it's Master Cow from CowSwap. We have a big swap, like very big, that will happen soon and it will end in rETH. Who can I talk with about marketings to get some support on amplifying the message? Ideally, someone from the team. So Maverick said, good morning, drop me a DM. Now, what is this all about? So there's a whole bunch of theories going around about what this big swap will be, how it's going to work out. And it seems to be that the prevailing theory is that this will be the Nexus Mutual vote that passed recently, for their 14,400 ETH into rETH. It seems like they're going. This is the idea that people have, is that they'll be using CowSwap to swap their ETH into rETH. So that's really, really exciting, and it seems like they're trying to work with CowSwap to make sure they get the smallest amount of slippage and all of that kind of stuff. It's really exciting, right? Like that they are going to be doing this soon, and it seems like the CowSwap people think that this will lead to a huge like they're going to use it to make publicity with this. So this is really exciting. So in response to that, in Viz here, he added rETH to the CowSwap order watcher. So he says it should work, but what will happen is anytime there's a trade through CowSwap for at least $25,000 minimum value, then a bot should come up in trading that will show you that order is waiting. And it says if someone does RPL rETH, I have no idea what takes priority or whatever they said, I think. So it's really cool that the community is already responding to this and kind of waiting in anticipation to see what this is going to be. Of course, Maverick now knows the details, but he's not told any of us. The prevailing theory is, of course, that this is the Nexus Mutual swap that they're doing through CowSwap. So again, just like with the Nouns DAO and their swap using the TWAM, I didn't understand why they didn't just go to the deposit pool and deposit it that way. Now with CowSwap, they want to deposit more than is available. Yeah, so it makes no sense to me why they wouldn't just do it through the deposit pool, right? With Nexus Mutual, of course, the deposit pool doesn't have enough space for all of their swap in one go, but they could do a big chunk of it, and then once there's space, they could do the rest of it. But I don't know how that adds complexity to their transactions. So I guess they have their own internal ways of doing these things. But it's just what will end up happening is they'll eat at least 1% or 2% of slippage, which will be weeks, maybe months worth of rewards that they could lose out on because of that swap. But these guys are looking long term and they have their systems in place, so I guess they just want to follow those, and that's what they'll do. Okay, so trading has been kind of talking about this for the last few hours. A few weeks ago, we were suffering from this liquidity cliff that you can see right here at 0.02 on the ratio with ETH and RPL. And there was this idea that, as we fell into that liquidity cliff, we'd be kind of in a bad situation because the price, could move up and down quite quickly, violent swings and all that. And it wouldn't be good. Well, someone added a whole lot of liquidity between the range of 0.015 and 0.02, and slowly, since that time, that liquidity is kind of been eaten into, and RPL has been sold into it, and the person's been ending up in a more ETH heavy position. So today what happened is that person removed the liquidity, and now we are in huge depth of this huge chasm of liquidity. So trading's been saying things like holy S, RPL is dead, and people just being like, how fast can you exit your pool, and people are kind of tongue in cheek, but it's kind of like doomer humor. and there's a lot of like negativity. People are asking how I'm keeping a brave face for recording rocket fuel, and like, in all honesty, like, I was here when we fell from a nice high number, like left somewhere down to 0.0076, and that didn't feel nice, but like, it's not anything I haven't seen before. But there's a whole lot of negativity going around in the community at the moment, and some people are buying some, like Juan Carlos, good job, but a whole lot of other people are just kind of like worried. But like here, like Double Mint says, fast road back to 0.02. Yeah, so all we need now is like one decent sized buy, and the ratio will move quite a lot quite quickly. But it's not fun chart to look at in terms of the ratio right now, and there's a whole lot of like negativity. So Intelligent Investor says, holy, what happened to the liquidity? And then Dibsy says, and you see that tiny little red dot. So on the liquidity chart, like, it doesn't even show up really. So like I said, people are like kind of joking about it, but kind of like not joking about it at the same time. So it's definitely an interesting time in the rocket pool community. There is a whole lot of negativity around, and you guys know I don't talk about price too often on the channel, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, I guess. Okay, so an interesting thing happened today for the first time, where a solo staker tried to convert their solo stake into rocket pool mini pools, but their bond reduction was cancelled. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't a solo staker, it was a person reducing their bond, and their bond reduction was cancelled, and it didn't go through, it was rejected. So let's find out what happened. Here there was a discussion that kind of came up. Here Astanita said, what's this vote against bond reduction, why? And then Joe says, looks like it passed the you're under 31.99 ETH check. So basically what happens is, when you want to switch your mini pool, from a mini pool 16 to a LEB 8, that validator that you're running has to have at least 32 ETH in there, minimum. Well, 31.999, I think, or something like that, minimum. Otherwise it won't go through, because it's the rETH holders that will be missing out on those rewards, like, you're taking from their share unfairly. So Joe says it looks like it passed the you're under 31.99 ETH check. And then Valdov says the bro is leaking heavily and doesn't deserve credit for 32 ETH. So what's happened is, like, he probably got skimmed a few days ago. His node is down. He's not put it back up. His performance has been zero these last week or so. And as he got skimmed above 32 ETH, then he's leaking below that. So he's in a bad state. So as Nita says, he had 2 sync committees and is leaking, but it seems crazy. It seems to me that a good mini pool with 100% of proposals, 98% of attestations, so only had 5 proposals and 2 sync committees. Also, if he's choosing to bond reduce, how the hell is he leaking? He's online and sending commands. So there's definitely like some weirdness going on with that node. And Joe says, the ODAO doesn't know why he's leaking, it just knows that he is leaking. And yeah, Waldorf says, maybe historically they've been good, but not this week. So yeah, if you want to reduce your bond, definitely make sure that your node is above 32 ETH. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on gas. And then Joe says, it used to be 31.999 threshold. We changed it to 31.99 after someone got bunked for being offline during the sync committee very quickly. So if you get denied because of that threshold without sync committee, you need to be offline for a really long time. And he says, okay, that seems fair enough. So yeah, that's definitely something to pay attention to if you want to reduce your bond. Okay, next we have this information from Sephiroth. Now, Sephiroth, for those of you who don't know, is a person who works with Allnodes. Allnodes is a node hosting service that runs a whole lot of rocket pool validators. I think they have around 20 to 30% of Rocket Pool nodes run through. No, not 30%. I think 20%. I haven't seen exact numbers recently, but somewhere around like 700 or 800 of the Rocket Pool nodes are run through Allnodes. So Sephiroth here says, "Holy cow! All this dissolved mini pool stuff is not easy to implement. We started working on it, but it seems to be not easier than to release conversion from Ethereum to Rocket Pool mini pools. I'll keep you informed of our progress." And then he says you can follow instructions in your portfolio page. Yeah. So they're working on like how to deal with dissolved mini pools, and yeah, hopefully they'll get that information. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, what happened is that they've been working on this since the 14th of July, and it seems like now you can follow the instructions in your portfolio page to be able to do that. So they've been working on it quite hard, and now that that's done, if you are on Allnodes, if you have an issue with your mini pools being dissolved, for a bad conversion or something, then you should be all good now. So and I'm really glad to see that news coming out of Allnodes, because a whole lot of people in the Rocket Pool community use it. Okay, next we had this advice from Patches. So there was a validator here, Hopper ZK Pay, and they had some issues with their node, and Patches here like put it all into a post and then kind of shared it as with a PSA. So he says, basically, this is my theory, what happened to you. He says, you used your solo mnemonic to recover your smart nodes wallet. You tried to deposit a mini pool and it failed because index 0 was already used by a solo validator. You deposited a couple more times, you succeeded, although it seemed like there was another failure anyway. Total of 4 key pairs. SmartNode doesn't clean up keys from failed deposits, so the VC tried to validate using your solo validator key pair. For 45 days, doppelganger protection prevented you from getting slashed, for which you are obscenely lucky. Basically, we don't recommend reusing mnemonics for SmartNode. It's quite sketchy and really reduces the security of your solo validators. So Hopper says, I think that's spot on. Very lucky indeed. And Patches says, if you haven't already, it's paramount that you set a 0x01 withdrawal credential for your solo validator now that the master key is chilling on a node. And Hopper says, yes, it's been set. So Patches says, cool, be skeptical of restoring that wallet in the future. Anytime you do wallet operations, you must check that the derived keys do not include your solo validator key pair. We'll forward this one to Joe, so maybe we can make the smart node safer. So basically the idea is that you do not import your solo keys into the smart node. And then Hopper says, don't remember seeing that info on the docs guide, but might have just breezed over it. At some point the solo validators will get rolled into mini pools. When the queue wait is shorter, we'll clean everything up at that point. But Patches says, okay, cool, once that's done, everything will be cleaner. So yeah, if you are messing around with solo validators and Rocket Pool validators at the same time, make sure that you are keeping your key management really well. Otherwise, I think there's a chance that you can get slashed. So don't get slashed. Okay, so Hippocrates, yesterday we were talking about how a whole lot of RPL was coming into the Aave ecosystem to, people were depositing it so it could be lent out. Now here Hippocrates says the first 100 RPL has been borrowed on Aave, and then we've got a little bit more information here. Hippocrates says 600 RPL was borrowed on Aave and staked in an under-collateralized node in 2 transactions. The first one being, and then there's an Etherscan link to that. And then Sneaky says, how are things going for people that lent RPL on Aave? Hippocrates says it's still too early to tell. Is it pretty much a set it and forget it? And I'll take whatever bits of interest I can earn type of mentality. Hippocrates says pretty much there's no risk besides smart contract as far as I know. And then Astanita says that the person who borrowed that 600 RPL is currently going to pay like less than 1% interest, but they'll be earning 8% interest on that deposit, which is pretty cool. And Hippocrates clarifies and says that person will be paying 0.18% interest right now. So it's really interesting that you can do that. Not sure says the person could have waited until closer to the snapshot and paid 0, because you only need to have your RPL above 10% on the time of the snapshot. Having it for the period leading up to the snapshot doesn't really make that much of a difference. So yeah, it seems like people are already using the Aave borrowing system in order to top up their validators, and I think that's really cool. So if you have a look at the Aave system now, they've had 35,200 RPL has been deposited in there, of a max of 105,000, and total borrowed so far is 1,230 RPL, which means that the APY, the interest you'll be paying on that borrowing will be 0.37%, which is actually pretty amazing. Like, that's a really, really good interest rate. But at the moment the utilization rate is quite low, 3.5%. Of course, once it gets closer to 80%, that's when it gets the interest will go peak at 8.5%, and then after that it just goes like really, really high really quickly. It doesn't it's not set up for you to be borrowing at those rates. So the idea is that basically, the interest might end up, the amount borrowed might end up somewhere just below the rewards point. And of course, there's a risk of liquidation with borrowing. If the RPL price increases too quickly compared to the asset that you deposited, then you could be liquidated on your loan. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, next we had this post here from Aziz Elliott, who says, "Hey Rocket Pool team, Aziz here from Entangle Protocol. I would like to touch base with the team to discuss partnership and send our offer." So I'm not sure what Entangle Protocol is. However, I always like to give a boost to these kind of posts, because it's really nice that protocols are still reaching out to us and trying to get integrated with Rocket Pool. I think that's a really cool thing, like regardless of what's happening in the market, like, Rocket Pool is still continuing, still thriving at the moment, and that's really nice to see. Okay, so a couple of days ago, we covered news of how Intel are discontinuing the NUC. Ken here shared some news saying this is good news. It seems like Asus and Intel are agreeing on a deal for the NUC future. It says Intel and Asus announced a short-term term sheet that will see new Asus NUC BU stood up, and the 10th to 13th generation NUC manufacturing to be done by Asus. So it seems like Asus are going to take over the NUC and keep that NUC name, but then it'll be an Asus branded product instead of an Intel branded product. So this is nice for people who have used NUCs for a really long time, and it seems like they'll be able to potentially keep using them into the future. However, I don't know why people would buy NUCs. Depending on what happens with Ethereum, it might become more resource intensive in the future, but a ROC5B board will run any number of validators that you could possibly want to run on a single machine without any issue. So and it's a lot cheaper than NUC. Validator per validator, it works out to be way less. So this is like nice news, but I don't know how it's going to be in terms of going forward, because there's going to be so many rivals for the NUC for the staking communities. Of course, for other uses, it might be that the NUC is still better suited to those people. Okay, there are a couple of things that I want to end up on the episode with that are not directly related to Rocket Pool. Here, one of these is some news that was going around today about an ETH Genesis minter who is sending a whole lot of it to Kraken. Now it says an ETH ICO participant transferred 61,216.5 ETH at basically $1,899, which works out to be $116 million, to Kraken 2 hours ago. And he received the ETH from Genesis on July 30th, 2015. At the time, it was worth $19,000 at the ICO price of 31 cents. So this person, the account woke up after 8 years of dormancy and moved all of the ETH to Kraken. So what's really, really interesting is that this 61,000 ETH costs just a little bit over 30 Bitcoin. So yeah, it's just, when you think of it like that, it's just absolutely boggles the mind. That 30 Bitcoin now is worth $900 and something thousand or thereabouts. This ETH is worth $116 million. So that is pretty amazing difference there. But anyway, this is people kind of scared, because they thought that they're sending it to Kraken to sell, and it might be that it might impact the ETH price in the coming days. So there's a whole lot of like negativity around different places, different people, like just not in Rocket Pool, of course, in the Rocket Pool also, but elsewhere as well. So I just wanted to finish with this tweet from Anthony Sassal. Now, I don't know how this will apply specifically to Rocket Pool in this situation that we're in right now, but Sassal says, max pain for crypto investors is watching stocks hit all-time highs while ETH and BTC are still range bound. Ultra max pain is selling crypto for stocks just before crypto starts a new bull market. Now, I'm very much of the, and David Hoffman replied by saying the year is 2019. Now, in the year 2019, I wrote down crypto 90% pretty much from when I invested in the highs in 2017 and early 2018, and that's when I made my first purchases. Now, holding down, riding out those losses is no fun, and it was definitely not enjoyable to write down those losses, but I bought more, and I'm not telling you guys to buy more, of course I'm not, but like crypto goes up and crypto goes down, and this is the point. Like, this is if you believe that we are going to come back, then now's the time where you that conviction that you have is tested and also then rewarded in a sense if it comes back. If it doesn't come back, which of course there is always a chance that it won't come back, then not good times for a whole lot of us. But it's one of those situations where you really have to like take a step back and like think, why are you in this? Why are you part of crypto? Why are you part of Ethereum community? Why are you part of Rocket Pool? Why are you invested in these protocols? And what do you hope to get out of it? What are you trying to do? And those are the things that those are the values and the beliefs that you need to kind of like hold strong to when things aren't looking so good. And I'll be honest, like there's a whole lot of negativity. Things definitely aren't looking good, and it's just a matter of like where we bottom and how that happens. And that could happen today, that could happen 6 months from now, much lower than where we are now. But yeah, let's see what happens. Like, nobody really knows, and all we can do is wait and see. So I'll be here every day, along with all of you who stay, and yeah, we're gonna get through it together. So of course, this is not financial advice, and always thank you for watching, listening, being part of the Rocket Fuel community, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.